Hi everyone, as I announced in my last video, I was going to do this other video based on basically how I see it is. And like I said, if you watch my videos, any of you, I have been advocating uh, for families to keep them intact for 30 years, since I was 26. You do the math. Yes. Yes, I'm old, but it's not going to stop me from going to law school. It's not going to stop me from I'm going to keep suing DCF until changes are made, till laws are revoked or laws are enacted that will make our children we're given all kinds of rights since birth. Rights to biology, rights to an intact biological family, rights to not be harmed. Now, as I kind of discussed the last video, is when it comes to the court system, they want to give children the rights to privacy. Is that the real reason they're minors and you're giving them rights to privacy? Or is it, are you hiding? And as I had read, Hawaii Supreme Court allows it, like if a child's dead or missing or something like that, that you can go into those sealed records, like the adopted sealed records. All right, but this discussion I want to talk to today because I see this all the time in social media, people I've talked to and stuff like this. Let me preface this. For statistical purposes and for society, the public, the voting people, we have to make it look like CPS works in theory. That's why there's a couple reasons and there's different theories as to why or how or anything. But CPS gives children back to parents, whether they really should get them back or not. I mean, there are times that they're taking, giving back, taking, giving back, taking, giving back. And sometimes they're eventually killed. But they can't have 100% adopted out rate, right? So they have to get some children back. Now, some parents will say the children that go back are the ones they can't adopt. And I've said this before. When I worked in the loan mitigation department, loss mitigation part during the 2008s, during where the home crisis, where everyone was losing their homes, there was literally like a software program that you kind of put the person's situation in, and it would spit out like the cheapest solution for IndyMac Bank. That is who I worked for, was IndyMac Bank. And you can't make this shit up. But yeah, it spit out like a deed in lieu or short sale or loan modification or whatever would work out. And like the department next to mine was the REO department. And I always was always hearing them say, offer them cash for keys, offer them cash for keys, right? Yeah, we wanted a lot of houses on the market back then. It was probably not too bad. Okay. So, but then you find these parents that will go on these anti CPS sites, knowing that people don't have their children back, or they were adopted out, or grandparents, or whatever, never got them. And I just want to kind of sit there and go, like, nah, 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 nah. I'm the better parent because I got mine back. But I really tend to think that a lot of those, first of all, they got to kind of figure out what ones can we give back for statistics' sake. Can we say, oh, well, these parents really came up. Now, I also want to tell you, I see time and time and time and time again, a lot of these parents who are on these social media boards will sit there and say, I did everything they told me to and I still lost my kids. And that's a fucking fact. That's a fucking fact. You can make yourself the best parent in the world. But if the foster parents want to adopt your children, the foster parents are going to adopt your children. That's one reason why they do it. Foster parents have shown, yeah. Listen to me, foster parents. Your purpose, if a if you should have that role, is not to fall in love with these kids and ruin their lives forever. These children are not a prop for you to look like a hero or to live vicariously through them. That's not the purpose. So I don't know what brings people out to sit there and say, well, CPS can't be bad because I got mine back. Let's just put it this way. Children are a commodity. They're chattel for DCF. Don't give a fuck about them. They're not living, breathing humans with feelings. They're not. They're a statistic. They're collateral damage in a multi billion dollar child trafficking industry. And for some reason, your child popped up not as adoptable as other children. And you also said they went with family. So there weren't foster parents there that wanted to adopt them for the subsidies they would get until the children aged out. So I'm going to read this and just show you like what fools society are. Because we are freaking fools. We are blind fools. We're sheep that just sit there and take the shit from the government and never fight back. And then when it's too late, what the fudge are we going to do? Anyways, this is in a Facebook group. Am I the only one who had a positive experience with CPS? Now, back in the day, you may have. I somewhat did, but like I said, they played some shit on me too. I know they get a bad rep, albeit for good reason, but they genuinely were such a huge help. My kids were taken November of 20 and were back in our homes by September of 21. They helped get us services and actually gave them back sooner than we had even thought they were going to. About the year mark, they is when they determine that they're going to go for TPR and adoption at about the year mark. So they give them back at about the year. Your children were not at that point in time adoptable for them. That's the only reason. And if you think anything different, people, take your fucking blindfolds off. Okay. Someone answered, kidnapping is not good. CPS is the largest child trafficking operation in the world. Once again, I'm going to give this disclaimer. I'm using the fair use for commentary, and I am not a lawyer. I'm a pro se litigant. And whatever you want to take these videos for, education, information, entertainment, laugh at me. I know I'm fat and ugly. I really don't care. I have a heart of gold and a bad mouth. And the shirt I wore yesterday proves that. So I said, do I? Oh, maybe I don't have the printout of what I said. But, oh gosh, I don't know. Yeah, I guess I didn't print it out. But I basically said, CPS aren't your friend. I said, they may give your children back, but be aware that they will circle around. Sometimes they just do an investigation, close it out, but they'll circle around. When they can't get enough children, and when people start figuring out, oh, this area, this state, or this county is a hotbed for taking your kids, they have to come back around and find more children. Children are a commodity, and remember, they have to have more the next quarter or the next year or whatever it is than they did the year before. And guess what? We are having less children. to give them supply. So, I just said, and the next time they may not be sent to family because they may say the second time or the third time around, we're adopting these children out because we need the bonuses to the state and to us. And this is her answer. Laugh out loud. Okay, if you say so. It's been over 5 years and we were leaders. Our celebrate recovery. I think she meant to say at Celebrate Recovery. I think we're good. I'm actually really good friends with my old caseworker and one of the local supervisors. I have no concerns. But then I go to find out, right, that she's replied to someone else. I mean, we were in jail. They needed to go somewhere and they went with family. Family is not always going to be able to take them. As you get older, your parents get older. Some of them get sick. Some of them become very unhealthy in a matter of a few years, let alone a decade. Because there is no, the end of the age that they take them is obviously once they become 18. So if your children are 2, 3, and now they're like 8 or 9, you still have 10 more years of them, of the ability of them come knocking at your door. Uh, and you've already had a case with them. So it's so much easier for them to prove you're an unfit parent. Do you understand that? Don't sit there and say, DCF is my friend. DCF isn't your friend. The almighty dollar, the reason they do this is their friend. Um, Parents, I mean, me personally, and please don't take my advice. Think on things. CPS even came sniffing, and I want to say like smelling the blood in the water like a shark, but no, they smell the green, they smell the money. If DCF came sniffing, nah, I don't have any minor children anymore. I would know better. And if they knocked on my door that night, I don't give a shit how my life is. I don't care if I own a house. I don't really friggin' care. We'd be packed and we'd be gone and we'd be starting life somewhere else. Because the chances of your children being taken, removed, and adopted out are so high. So high. Um, I just want to say this, like parents, be aware, be alert. CPS isn't your friend. They may come off as your friend. They might want to pretend to be your friend. They are not your friend. They're not your friend. You cannot trust them. I don't care if they're your friend now and your best buddies with supervisors. Jobs come and go. People go to other positions in CPS. And if you watch my videos, you'll see that. Sometimes people are sent to different agencies that aren't even related to each other. Like DMV people can become higher ups up on the CPS ladder. Whom you have today in your pocket, you think you may not have in 2 years or in 6 months. And if that celebration, what was that called? I've been at celebration. What was that? I don't know if it was if it's a church. Celebrate. Oh, we are leaders at Celebrate Recovery. I'm assuming that you and your husband, by your little bit of indication, both you and your husband were arrested for drugs. That's what I must assume. You really didn't say it. That's just an assumption. Because celebration recovery, okay, first when I read, I thought maybe it was a church, and then I said, oh, recovery, because I've seen so many churches called celebration something. I'm assuming that that's a rehab place or a group for people with substance abuse. Here's a secret: people with addictions can fall off that wagon. It's wonderful that you're in recovery. for 5 years or 4 years or however long it's been. Stop resting on those laurels that you're a wonderful parent. Because in the eyes of a judge, once a junkie, always a junkie. And that's not coming from me. That's coming from judges. That's how they see it. That's how they see you. If you couldn't control it then, who's to say you can control it again this time? You know what I mean? I never did drugs, ever. But they didn't stop them from making me do drug testing all the time. They can make you do it every single month or every single week, and sometimes at your cost. And they are so famous, so famous. And I'll go over social media and read some cases, some instances too. But they are so famous for falsifying records. You hear it all the time, all the time. Stop trusting these people. They're not here to help you. They're just not. Stop resting on your laurels. Personally, like I said, if DCF was ever involved in my life, I would get out of Dodge because they do time and time and time and time and time again circle around. I would really like to see comments from someone here and sits there and tells me, yeah, DCF has been in my life 3 times. First time they didn't take my kids. Second time they didn't take my kids. The third time was a charm for them. And I'm not trying to say that in a bad way. DCF wants children, and they want to take children from families they see are inadequate. And that includes people who have or have had substance abuse problems. And it's sad to say that you can be recovered and you can really, really, really believe that you're a wonderful parent because you did take that step in that initiative for your children. And that's wonderful. I watched a movie the other day with my husband. I hadn't seen it for a couple of decades. And it's called Riding in Cars with Boys with Drew Barrymore. And I love the movie. It's so heartwarming and touching. But it kind of relates to a father who has a heroin addiction. And his wife had to eventually kick him out for the best of her son. And I really believe that. And the father left because he knew that he could not put his son first against his heroin addiction. And later, the father is seen that he's still bad off years later. But the father did realize that that was a sacrifice he had to make. He loved his son. I don't believe that he didn't love his son. And I don't believe that people with substance abuse addictions don't love their children. But we have to come sometimes to a point where a mother has to say, I cannot stay with this man who would prefer drugs over the safety of our child. So I'm just saying, people don't rest on your laurels. They have to give some children back. Children that are adopted out doesn't mean the parents were bad. It just means they were easier to adopt, I believe. And that's what most of society believes. If a foster parent wants to adopt your children, and you'll read this on social media so much. If they say, yeah, I'll adopt these kids, chances are they will. And then what will happen? The courts and CPS will forget that they ripped that child from the mother, breaking that bond in pieces. But what they'll do is say, well, we can't take them out of the foster home because it'll break that bond. They're liars, and the courts will rubber stamp it. Why? I don't know. Another video I will do is what is the purpose of a judge? Because the purpose of a judge is not to side with DCF, rubber stamp DCF, because they're a state employee. You're supposed to be biased. They're supposed to be fair. And most importantly, they're supposed to be just. We don't get that. All right. I'm sorry I'm so angry. I'm always angry. I am when I'm talking about like families being ruined because it breaks my heart. It really, really, really does. It breaks my heart. It breaks my heart that children that are in these situations are treated so horribly. That like literally physically hurts me. All right, I am gonna go. It's 12:05. My husband's been on break for 5 minutes, and I love talking to my husband during lunch. Um, just catching up with him, seeing how his day is, telling how my day is. And I'll tell him I did a couple videos and he'll watch them for some, I don't know, crazy reason. He loves me and will watch my videos. All right, you guys have a wonderful day. I am going to do another video today, and it's not going to be on CPS, but it's just something I saw today, and I just kind of feel like I should address it. But anyways, you guys have a wonderful day.